All right, folks. He did okay. Okay, what's happening now? Aye, it's fine. It's fine. Remember the game. It was great. We're through. We're through. That's the main thing. We're through. Just just defend your box. And it was, I mean, no, that's, I mean, you don't expect things to go really smoothly in European games, do you? You don't expect, especially away from home. I mean, there's always going to be a wee bit of pressure. But the main thing is we soaked it up. We soaked it up like fucking sponges that had just been steeping in the sink, the greasy water for years on end, and absolutely stinking. And the main thing is, we're through to the playoff round, the Champions League, and Russell Martin, he just keeps getting through these games, and people have got all sorts of doubts about him and stuff like that. But what's that game tonight? And it was absolutely go to Palmeiras, go to Palmeiras. If you don't miss the plane, could you sleep in your clueless hardy? And I'm just really glad that the project is working up. So if I was sticking up for it on Saturday after we drew with Dundee, didn't I? Stuck up for it, and I was sticking up for it last night in the preview pod, and I knew it. Just be saying, be drink of water. It's warm, isn't it? It's warm. It's really warm. I think that heat wave. I thought it was just supposed to be England, but it's fucking cold. Every one of the dreams where anxiety dreams, obviously, it's a loved one. Somebody you really care about, and they're doing something kind of suicidal or kind of, it's no like they're no claiming, they're no owning up to everything in their tax form or something like that. It's no like they're having a mini Mars bar after every meal instead of an apple. It's not something. It's something like they're standing in the middle of the road and there's a truck coming down towards them. It's going, and you do that thing, but they're not being nasty, and they're just looking at you going, what? It's obviously something you feel a bit helpless about, or a bit uptight about in real life. In your dreams, you're kind of going, why don't you move? Why don't you get off that road? Why don't you get out the way of this oncoming truck? And you start kind of screaming at them like, head the ball out the box, or that kind of thing. You just would tell them, you're shouting at them like, clear it, clear it. And they don't, and I don't know if they actually die in the dream. If they die in the dreams, that means you die in real life. But it's scary. It's scary. Sometimes you get that kind of thing watching a football match, but everything turned out all right in the end. I'm from Ayrshire. I might have mentioned that a million times before, but kind of Kilmarnock supporting. I mean, everybody supports Rangers and Celtic, but the other option is Kilmarnock, and if you want to do the whole local team thing, well, I mean, Ayrshire, yeah, but it's just as easy to get to. I mean, as close, as the car flies, really, from where I was born to get to Govan as it is to get to Kilmarnock. Well, maybe no, it's actually a bit easier, I suppose, to get probably a bit, maybe 10 minutes easier to get to Rugby Park, but sometimes you think, oh, maybe the gods have got it in for me. And I did grow up. My dad, a Kilmarnock supporter, and his dad was a Kilmarnock supporter. And I mean, my dad's basically wanted me to support Rangers because half my family, his younger sister, was Rangers staff. My gran, it was Rangers supporter, and he was just didn't want me going through life suffering, as supporting Kilmarnock is a bit tough and all that, but you just still have that wee thing sometimes in the back of your mind thinking, God, that could have been me. And one of the games my dad would always tell me about was the game where Kilmarnock played Eintracht Frankfurt in the old Fairs Cup. I think it was 64-65 the season Kilmarnock went on to win the league. When I was born, Kilmarnock had won the league, the Scottish title, more recently than Rangers had. You could hardly call me a glory hunter, but in Willie Waddle, won the Cup in Scotland. The Kilmarnock lost 3-0 away to Eintracht Frankfurt in Hesse in the first leg of that one. This is Eintracht Frankfurt, that a few years before had captured the imagination by getting beat 7-3 at Hampden in the European Cup final by Real Madrid. And then famously they come back to Rugby Park and Eintracht Frankfurt scored straight away, so it was 4-0 on aggregate, and then Kilmarnock won 5-1 on the night. To come back. Tommy McLean played in that game. Tommy McLean. I think that's the season they won the league. Kilmarnock, and of course they ended up going to playing Real Madrid in the European Cup the following season. Real Madrid, European. So they played Eintracht and Real Madrid. The two teams that played in that final. Hampden, Willie Waddle got this Kilmarnock a lot of finals and finishing second in the league about 5 times or something. Actually, look at Willie Waddle's record at Kilmarnock. It's really decent, but also really painful, getting so close. And so far in so many occasions. But he won that league title, come on, one of the rare, the kind of 11 teams that have been champions of Scotland, one of 11 clubs. But I always wondered, I just thought, well, my Rangers, just in the back of my mind, as we're going into this tie, I'm thinking, we've won 3-0 in the first leg. Big thing a couple of seasons ago, playing Union St Gilles as a Belgian team, in this round, wasn't it? The third qualifying round, where we lost 2-0. Union St Gilles was moving that game to Leuven, and we lost 2-0, and Rangers had never recovered a 2-goal deficit from a first leg in European football, and we did. I was there. It was great the night we won 3-0. But just something feel like, well, have we ever thrown away a 3-goal advantage? Have we ever thrown away a 3-goal advantage? I was there the night we beat Borussia Dortmund 2-0 in the UEFA Cup, having dropped into it from the Champions League under Dick Advocaat, and we scored the 22 pass goal, and obviously that's only half the passes that we're going to be scoring goals from regularly under Russell Martin. And then we lost the away leg 2-0 and went out on penalties. So that's painful. Sometimes you set yourself up with too big not too big, but you maybe a bit too comfortable going into the second leg. And when we scored the goal, we went a goal down tonight. This could end up being, but then we pulled a goal back, and then look, still we were going to end up losing 5-1 on the night. Not even gone to extra time, not even gone to penalties. We would just, if we lost another one, we would lose 5. And we did lose another one, but we didn't lose 5 at all. And nevertheless, it turned into I was talking about MTK Budapest. I was just after, to get rid of Celtic fans in that playful way. I'm not really trying to get rid of Celtic fans, but it's that thing. Folk come in when Rangers slip up. You get more people coming in to look at your videos who support other clubs. So I do it's a wee habit we get into of just doing something that's morosely boring. What do you mean what do you mean it's all boring, Alec? It's something that I think is morosely boring. At the beginning of the pod, and I was going through all the Cup Winners' Cup finals, the first 20 odd Cup Winners' Cup finals, what had happened in them. But I was talking about the 1963-64 when MTK Budapest lost to Sporting Club de Portugal after a replay of the first game finishing 3-each in Brussels. There's connections between the nights. We're going to play Bruges. And then they moved the replay to Antwerp, to the Boss Wheel in Antwerp, and it was only 1-0. But it was, I was talking about, I mentioned as an adjunct to that MTK Budapest in the semi-final of that Cup Winners' Cup had lost 3-0 at Parkhead in the first leg of the semi-final, and then beat Celtic 4-0 in the second leg. So it's just, I didn't realise I was actually just setting myself up, to be really terrified watching this wee game tonight. How you doing, folks? This is your Fatek, Russell Martin. Immediate post Russell Martin has lost a game as Rangers manager. His first loss as Rangers manager comes in his 6th game, and his big kind of change tonight was probably Nico Raskin coming on at 6, which meant the benching of the guy who's got the number 6 squad number, Joe Rothwell, and the goal that saved us tonight was scored in the 60th minute. 6-6 reaction pod coming to you in association with Jersnet. Check out Jersnet every Friday 9 PM live on the Jersnet YouTube channel. Every Sunday the flagship show 9:30 PM live on that channel. And I'm also sponsored by Solid Sport. Solid Sport, a Swedish company. I think just a new Swedish company. £12 it cost us to watch that game on Solid Sport, and it was quite Solid Sport, also sponsored by Solid Sport, a Swedish company. £12 it cost us to watch that game tonight on Solid Sport, and it was quite Solid Sport, a Swedish company, Solid Sport. They were covering the game tonight. £12 it cost us to watch that on Solid Sport, and it was quite shite. It was probably the worst I've ever seen in terms of streaming. Streaming makes you think of pish, doesn't it? A streamy. I remember a wee boy, you'd go, I'm going for a streamy. That was one of the ones they call it, and that was pish in terms of streaming. We'll all be trying to get we're £12 back. Or should we just go for £6 back? Should it just be £6 that we're trying to get back? 6 of those pounds of the 12 that we spent for that. That's how, I know a lot of folk watched it on Rangers TV because maybe the bits that they were missing out, they weren't letting you see, was actually saving you the utter trauma of watching Rangers struggling and looking like we're trying to cut our own throats in this European tie, which we nevertheless gained. The score that got us through to the all-important playoff rounds of the Champions League. My name's Alec Anderson. I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving me. Can I get enough of you, baby? Can you? I can't get enough. You can't. You get? It was either that 666, the number of the beast, Iron Maiden. I don't know the words to that either. I thought I knew that Kiss song, but it's pretty much do. I probably do know that Kiss song really well, but it's just my nerves are a wee bit shattered after what. And Kiss had a reputation, didn't they, back in the day for being evil and being devil worshippers and all that, which they played up to, and there's obviously the kind of corporate wallies. It's always. But yeah, my name's Alec Anderson, and I'm talking to you after Rangers progressed to the playoff round of this season's Champions League qualifying. It's like a mini tournament, isn't it? It's Champions League qualifying. We are one tie away from the group stage of the Champions League. It's the first time we've got through the playoffs since we were hammered royally by PSV Eindhoven under Michael Beale. In the season before that, we beat PSV Eindhoven under Giovanni van Bronckhorst in the same stage. So it's a kind of Dutch kind of. I've never really checked into this club, Club Brugge, Zulte Waregem. Are they kind of they're Flemish, aren't they? I think most of the big football teams are Flemish. It's only really Standard Liège, isn't it? There's somebody else that are Walloons in the old. But it's there you go. It's the Philippe Clement connection. I'm kind of raging because I saw Club Brugge. I mean, I'm a huge deal the fact I wasn't at the Scott Nisbet game back in the 1992-93, the first ever Champions League group stages. Back in 1992-93, I was at the Marseille game, but I wasn't at the game against Bruges or CSKA Moscow, and I've regretted that. There's the only two Champions League group games ever played at Ibrox that I haven't attended. But I wasn't at either of them, and I lamented that long and hard, not least because Club Brugge, a European finalist club, and I've got my collection going of it. I want to see all the clubs that have played in one of the European club finals. And Club Brugge, well, I was supposed to be going to Bruges on holiday. Wasn't it? I cancelled that holiday, and we went to Berlin instead, so I could come back and see the friendly against Bruges at Ibrox, so I could say I've seen Bruges, and here we are 6 weeks later, we're playing them again in the Champions League. So that's just kind of goes along with how we've got the result we wanted tonight, but so many other things went totally wrong. The big team news tonight. James Tavernier in for Max Aarons. Max Aarons, before we all get kind of, Tav, he's the man, or whatever. That's terrible. I was talking about this last night, how I think that Max Aarons looked a bit dodgy. He obviously is going to look dodgy playing at left back compared to his natural position, but I just thought that the cries to have him in playing at his natural position, the uproar about it didn't really match. It didn't make sense, basically, because we didn't know how good a right back he was. That's what he'd been signed for, obviously. But I mean, I knew eventually he's obviously going to get to play at right back. But it seemed to be part of the kind of anti-Tav conspiracy thing. And of course, Tav comes on from him Saturday and does his usual Tav, where he scores the goal that stops an embarrassing situation becoming, being more embarrassing, which is a really valuable thing as far as I'm concerned. That's why I love Tav. But I wouldn't want it to be there you go. Tav's much better than Max Aarons, and the manager, Russell Martin, was saying before the game tonight that Max Aarons had actually got an injury. He'd played with an injury against Dundee, so maybe that explains the way he couldn't come back to cover, and he left Giga as the last man when Dundee reduced us to 10 men with a nice wee, it's a kind of simple, straightforward move once we gave the ball to him after we went a goal down on Saturday. So no harm to Max Aarons. I'm not doing the triumphalist thing there, but Tav was back, captain in Rangers in Europe tonight and playing at right back. And also a huge call, which I kind of predicted last night. I had a funny feeling that Rothwell was exhausted, wasn't at full fitness, and he was maybe getting to play all these games at 6 ahead of Nico Raskin because... Number one, I think the head coach has obviously had a wee thing with Nico Raskin. He's maybe a bit thinking, I know about Rangers and you don't. I was a star here last season, you aren't, and he wasn't the star that often, Nico Raskin. I think it doesn't scan for me. A lot of us, absolutely hate Rangers keep slipping up against teams we're supposed to beat in the league, but yet we're so good in Europe. Yet everybody's outraged that Nico Raskin. The same people are kind of outraged that Nico Raskin's been dumped for Joe Rothwell because Nico Raskin was our best player last season. He is I think he's got the most potential, and he definitely was fantastic. He was fantastic against Celtic at Parkhead, against Tottenham at Ibrox, against Union St Gilloise at Ibrox. He was fantastic against Celtic at Ibrox. He was fantastic in these games that were almost kind of slagging Rangers for being fantastic in, while not doing the business against the smaller clubs, the 90% of smaller clubs that we come up against in the domestic situation in Scotland. So he should be he needs to get his head sorted if he wants to be a Rangers player going forward as well. He's as susceptible to the legacy problem at Rangers that we're all bemoaning these days, and the problem that Russell Martin is here apparently to sort. So Russell Martin tonight though put Raskin back in at number 6 after kind of talking about him a bit. I don't know. People think he was just saying a bit too much about stuff Nico Raskin wouldn't have wanted anybody to know. In yesterday's pre-match presser, he's been asked. He's been kind of pushed on a Rothwell versus Raskin situation. Is there something? Is there tension in the dressing room? Was the question reading between the lines? He wasn't having it. He was saying the two of them can play together. They have been playing together, but he then felt the need to go on and explain that Nico Raskin's head had probably been turned by the offers he was getting, or his agent was getting. Rangers were getting no official offers for him. He's a young man. He loves them and that kind of thing. But so I don't know what's happened there. So it's very political. It seems a bit tense, the situation, but it's definitely something we've all got our eyes on. And I felt as if Joe Rothwell was playing week in, week out, not just to let the manager, Russell Martin, make his mark and ensure that everybody knew that he was the boss, not our star men from last season, but also because Joe Rothwell has played for him at Southampton. He played for Russell Martin when he was manager at Southampton, head coach at Southampton, so he knows the system and he can go out there and help him and imprint his system on the Rangers team. He's been his kind of manager on the pitch perhaps in that respect, but he didn't look fully fit all the time in these opening 5 games under Russell Martin. So I was expecting, I thought the team will know what they're supposed to be doing by now. It's a chance to give Rothwell a rest, but Rothwell on the bench, and he come on later. And that Plzen, 5 changes, and Nico Raskin played at 6. Of course, he did actually play at 6 as opposed to this kind of left-hand side number 8 role that he doesn't enjoy at all. But Plzen, they had 5 changes. Obviously, they had, the player that had sent off against Servette in the second leg of the last round would be back tonight. But they made 5 changes altogether. I'm not even going to pretend that I understand who any of those players were, that I know that much about Viktoria Plzen. But one thing I did get from Solid Shite Sport was Plzenia. It's Viktoria Plzenia, their commentator was telling us. That's how it's pronounced. A very beautiful late kind of summer night. The sun was clearly setting across the Dunsinane Stadium, one of those stadiums that we've seen it on television quite a lot. You know it's that kind of sense, all of one level, really, a little roof going all the way around it. It's like if Livy were to take out, change the colour of the seats, obviously, but if Livy were to take out the kind of corner seats and put in a bit of terrace in there for their away section, it would be the exact same as that. And Plzen were wearing their kind of Barcelona-ish red and blue diagonal stripes. It was with the blue socks and the blue kind of blaugrana look about it. Diagonal stripes. We were all in white, and that was kind of somehow it was giving me vibes of the 1969 European Cup Winners' Cup final, because St Jacobs Park in Basel, was it the Wankdorf? I think it was St Jacobs Park. Barcelona, I think they played 3 Cup Winners' Cup finals in Switzerland, either Basel or Bern, but they lost this one to Slovan Bratislava, playing all in white. So Carlos Rexach scoring that goal, and then he scored again 10 years later in the 79 Cup Winners' Cup final when Barcelona won it against Fortuna Düsseldorf, all in white, and this was in Basel. And then 10 years again, 1989, he was on the bench as Johan Cruyff's assistant when Barcelona beat Sampdoria in the Cup Winners' Cup final. Sampdoria were wearing all white as well that night. So that was the Wankdorf in Bern, and you knew the Wankdorf in Bern was on its last legs that night as the fans were throwing bricks at each other. They were throwing bits of terrace, and they were ripping it up, Sampdoria fans and Barcelona fans, and they were throwing them at each other during that game. But that was getting wee vibes of that, and it was obviously a couple of hours later over there, and it was kind of setting sun type idea. So I don't know what happened. Maybe the sun, the way lands in the roof. Or maybe there's a kind of Brimlin Road when the Union Bells used to be in the Brimlin Road situation, or maybe Tav won the toss or whatever. But the team's elected to shoot towards their own supporters in the first half, and I'd got the game on the phone. I had it on the phone because it's that time at 6 o'clock's too early. It really isn't it? It's all these tea time kickoffs are absolutely killing me. I don't know how you're sorted yourself, how you're fixed for these kind of things, but it was like I wanted something to eat. I was going to make my dinner, but then when I'd be sitting down for my dinner was when the game was starting, and my wife was just due in for her work about 6 o'clock, and her laptop's here. She's got a nice new laptop, and I'm thinking, I should maybe use that because the laptop I've got is it's steampunk. It's just steam, copper pipes and what have you is required to get it going. It's a Samsung that must be about 15 years old. I don't know how it's lasted. It's 40 pieces, but it's got all my stuff on it there, and articles I've written, Jesus Christ, but it's got all my stuff on it, and I can't let it go, and but it's no very good. Sometimes it's Windows 7, I think, is the last Windows. It keeps telling me that's Windows 7 there's no support for that anymore. I don't know what Windows we're on just now, 28, something like that. But I'm scared to put my stuff onto I'm scared to. It always tells me, right, you've got to set up something every time you get a new app or a new thing. It's saying, right, you've no support for that. You can't get that set up there. So I assumed it wasn't going to take this. However, we were going to be able to watch the game on Solid Sport, and I went in via the Rangers Twitter account link thing into the Rangers website, and it gave you a wee link, and I went into that, and I'm getting it sorted out financially, paying the £12 straight away, and I had it on my phone, and I thought, because I can cast YouTube onto my telly, which is also a Samsung telly, which is starting to get the white splodges on the screen as well, because that's 40 pieces. I'm not very, when it comes to technical stuff, you can see why these podcasts are 40 pieces all the time, badly lit and badly recorded, but I can cast it up onto the telly for the phone, the YouTube stuff, so I'll be able to do that, and I go on it onto my phone. And it was working at first, and I tried to cast it up onto the telly. But I've also got the pasta boiling, because I just thought I'm going to go for the simple, the tuna, the kind of pasta bake thing, where I just garlic, onions, a bit of salt for the pasta, obviously, a lot of pepper on there, and then you just get the tin of John West tuna sunflower oil. In fact, I think it was Asda own brand. I was telling you it was an Asda last Thursday. I got that, and that's a bit of the old Parmesan cheese, and you're good to go. But I thought I've got a tin of minestrone as well, Asda own brand minestrone. So I had that on as well as a wee kind of starter. I didn't bother with the Parmesan cheese. This is like, we had a bad night, but it did actually go through. I'm doing that thing where I'm trying to pick you off with the boring details. I'd managed to get the minestrone doing me as I was setting up the foot, and it's like too early. The game is kicking off. My wife came in, and I'm saying, "Are you using your laptop?" She's like, "No, I don't need it tonight." I'm like, "Oh, I could get it on your laptop." And then the first time ever, her laptop wouldn't open. She's like, "I'm trying to open it, I don't know what the problem is." And she's saying, "Hey, what do you want me to do?" I'm thinking, the game started, I don't really care about it, and I'm going to watch it on my phone. It's quite a good picture on my phone. I couldn't cast it up onto the telly, but it's quite a good picture, and I'm sitting there, but it's like, no, it's no fair. She's been at work all day, watch telly. You sit in the living room and watch telly. I'll go through to the kitchen and just sit and watch it. In the kitchen on the phone, I hadn't had such a hard day at work, apparently. So I'll sit there with the phone, and I thought, maybe I'll get her laptop through, and that's no worth it. I'm just going to keep my eyes, because things started. I mean, at the 7th minute, Ant-Man, he kind of puts the ball to Dessers in space, and Dessers tries to lay it after somebody who's no there. It was a cracking ball, crossfield ball for the right over to the left as Dessers is drifting into the kind of corner of the box, and he takes it in his feet. I'm thinking, yeah. There been shots for distance. Victoria Plzen had a few shots for distance in the opening minutes. They firing the ball into the box without much effect for the first 4 minutes. But the worst thing was a kind of hand injury to Dessers. He had to go for treatment. I thought, that's good, he's wasting time, but well done, Cyril. Take the heat out of the onslaught here. Tav gave the ball away after a couple of minutes, and I saw that after I saw Dessers get injured in the 4th minute, because the thing was, the picture kept jumping back and forth. It was quite psychedelic. But while they're trying to whip up an attacking storm, we're passing that about at the back. That way we're trying to entice them onto as a team who's going to come. And I know that's how we're playing at Motherwell, and it looked quite good in the first half, and this is part of the plan, but it was giving me the fear, I'm only human. And then Jack Butland just kept coming out and picking balls out of the air every time they tried to fire one into our box, but also he's coming out with the ball at his feet to try and invite them on. And it was a bit scary. We never looked that comfy, but they weren't threatening at all. And I've made the pasta, but I haven't kind of got it out on the plate yet, and I'm thinking I'll get it past it on the plate. Get it past. I don't want to. I've got the phone sat and I've got it balanced on a specs case, and I put a wee French to German to English dictionary. Folk don't use it anymore; they use the internet, but I've still got one, an actual wee book, conversational German thing for when I was in Berlin. So I've sat it at the front of the phone so that it's kind of balanced there. It's sitting up facing me, and I'm watching that, and Dessers gave it away at the halfway line about the 12th minute, and the ball ends up with it's another throw for Jack Bolton to pick out the air. But I think it was the halfway line. He's got turned. He's got his back to the opposition goal Cyril, and he's laying it after the rank person. Great balls for wide and from deep from us. I thought Diamandi did a few kind of running through, and it's like, I see what Russell Martin's trying to do here. It's that thing we blew them away a week ago at Ibrox with our wingers, with Ant-Man, with I don't know if we're allowed to call them wingers, we're wide players, Ant-Man and Gassama going down each flank. They'll be expecting that tonight, but they're going to sit a bit deeper, and it'll be Dio, Mandy, and Lyle Cameron gets to start his third game in a row tonight as well, and well earned from him as well. They're going to be bombing on and getting on to the balls that are coming for deep and fast, from the wide. This is going to be good. It's going to be good. We're going to get into this. The first corner, 14th minute, that was us. We won the first corner. Did nothing with it, but we're kind of settling down and finding more big spaces as we go forward. And I think this is here for the taking, but our final balls are a bit ropey. 19th minute, Hefty is a shot from the edge of their box, goes straight to the goal. Has Hefty ever scored for Rangers? Has he ever scored for? Has he ever had an assist? I think he had an assist today, maybe against Fraserburgh in the Scottish Cup. I'm not sure, but apparently Palmeiras are in for him. Dynamo Kiev, remember they come on at half time against Dynamo Kiev in Lublin in this tie, this stage, the first leg of this tie, this round in the Champions League last season, and he made a massive difference. He ended up equalising in the last minute, and before he gets sent off at Hampden, where it all went wrong again. But the 23rd minute, when they're doing nothing with corners and they're getting excited at shooting 5 yards past the post or 10 yards over the bar. This is Viktoria Plzen I'm talking about. I'm thinking, never mind going through. It's going to be an absolute beamer if we don't actually win both legs. They're so bad when it comes to the shooting and all that, and they're getting themselves all worked up. There'll be ultras behind that goal. What was it that the big the tifo said? It was nice. It said the goddess is ready, and I'm thinking, are you ready? We're ready, boys. Don't you think you're ever going to be able to do anything against the mighty Teddy Bears? No Czech side has ever been to a European final, and Rangers have been to 5, which is another nice thing. I think that Solid Sport have to be commended on their commentator mentioning Rangers have been to 5 UEFA finals. It's something I don't think gets mentioned enough. And then in the 27th minute, when I was starting to get a bit cocky, one come back off Butland's chin. I thought I fired a shot into the box, but it wasn't actually a swerve. The replay showed it was a kind of swerving shot, and he kind of volleyball spike digged it away over the bar. Corner to them, take next to the Pepsi adverts. Well, we are the real thing. Pepsi, you can keep. Why would folk for Plzen, invented Pilsner, I want to drink anything other than Pilsner, advertise anything other than Pilsner, but it was Pilsner or Pepsi, and the guy gets a foot tape. The corner comes in, and it ends up with the guy gets an actual foot tape. It wasn't even a header or anything like that. Running about the penalty spot, and Jack Butland again has to put it out for a corner, which they head over. And as per Dundee, I suddenly realised, and Panathinaikos, they were winning everything in the air. They were not actually defending very well here. It's just their finishing's kind of terrible. 29th minute, Dessers. It's not going to be this. I'm not going to give this much match detail because I don't have it, because the coverage just stopped. Dessers nudged over in the box. I thought Cyril had been fouled. It looked at me, the chance that we fouled. The replays actually made it look worse even than I thought it was initially. The guy definitely put his kind of, he gave Cyril a bit of a push in the box. I've seen them given, as they say, but we've got a World Cup final referee, and VAR didn't see fit to overrule him. But he was outfoxing his marker. Was big Cyril, come on, big man, give us your European away form. Give us the guy that scored against Manchester United at Old Trafford against Olympiacos and Piraeus. They took the goals offside or onside against Fenerbahce in Istanbul. That's the guy we're looking for. But I'll circle the wagons when we play, when we slip up and we actually drop points, or there's a kind of material bad effect on Rangers. But tonight we've gone through, and it has to be said, we're bloody awful. This is the time to discuss just how bad we are, for whatever reason. 32nd minute, Lyle Cameron, he hooks one over his head, just over the bar in their box. There's a wee chance at the edge of the box. And I'm watching the phone because, as I say, I don't trust my laptop, and I think I can get it I kind of get up on the telly, I kind of cast it up there, and I'm trying to get over to I managed to get some past the first serve. It's a whole pot full of I always go OTT. And that was a penny pasta, just a penny pasta. I prefer the farfalle, but so I had that, and I managed to get in front of me. I'm sitting kind of trying to watch this wee phone while I'm scooping this stuff in my face. And there's a pot of tea. I made a pot of tea as well, and I managed to get a cup. And I realised that the kitchen was roasting because the kitchen's like a big greenhouse. And at this time of night, the sun goes to the back of the house, but it's like 6 o'clock at night. You're thinking, hey, it's not in Glasgow. It's not going to be that warm. But it was starting to heat up, and then Giga he gave it away. He kind of just passed to nobody out wide. That thing, we're bringing the ball forward into an attack of a team that are wanting to press us really early because they've got a 3-goal disadvantage to make up for. They're trying to create some sort of momentum, and this whole thing where we're taking the ball to defence, but Giga's doing what he's supposed to do, but there was just nobody around, and he ends up just turning and passing to nobody right, and it went out for a throw-in, I think. Lucky to get away with it. They don't just miss the kind of resultant header that they managed to get in, but actually the guy puts it back out to the wing almost. I think we're as lucky, and I don't believe in luck, but their finishing is horrendous, as bad as it was when we're playing against Panathinaikos. 37th minute, elbow to Ant-Man's face. I thought Ant-Man was elbowed in the face. It wasn't a massively powerful elbow, but it was definitely thrown in his direction as both players are coming down from challenging for a high ball. By this point, I'm just seeing little instalments as the picture starts to flicker, the picture starts to freeze. You're watching the 37th minute, then you're seeing the 32nd minute again. You're watching incidents that you've already seen, but you can't see the incidents that are happening just now. Solid sport, solid shite. 39th minute, the guy Tav's supposed to be marking, he shoots wide from about 4 yards, just jumps to suddenly an action replay of this guy shooting wide from about 4 yards, coming in on an angle to the goal. It was just mad jump cuts from Solid Sport. 40th minute, Gassama, he's having an absolute nightmare. He's just not getting involved at all. He takes the ball just out of play. There's a simple ball played out to him wide. He just lets it drift under his feet, and it goes out for a totally innocuous. He did nothing with it. It goes out for a shy to Plzen. Any nascent momentum we had has died, and we clearly need to hang on till half time. We're starting to get a bit of a goal. It's a goal in the 40th minute, 41st minute. Hefty does what Hefty does. Did it in the League Cup semi-final against Motherwell at Hampden as well. Did it again at Ibrox? I can't remember who it was against. He goes to sleep. It's a long raking ball from our right-hand side. Plzen practically in the halfway line, and the guy this ball, it's just so much height in it. It's lofty, it's slow as a week in the gel. This ball, it's so predictable. He goes right across field over to the opposite corner, over to Hefty's territory, and he doesn't so much telegraph it. It's kind of calligraphy, handwriting a letter, and then taking ages to actually makes his own envelope, and he gets bits of kind of jazzy things on it, wee stickers and all that on it, and he does it swag seal with a loving kiss when he puts a letter in there, and then he goes and he hand rears the pigeon himself. It's a pigeon in flight, a pigeon in captivity, and he rears it for a year, training it how to be a carrier pigeon before it goes the 20 yards across the road to the post office to deliver this. Hefty's doing that thing where he's going to see there's something else more interesting right in front of me happening. I'll go and have a wee look at this guy. He's not your guy. That's not the area you need to be in. The ball's on the opposite side of the park. You just need to watch what's going to happen in the left back area. He's just decided to completely abandon his position. So that's them. They hit the byline with the ball. They take the guy's in behind them. Their wide right player is in behind him, and he takes the ball down to the byline. He pulls the ball back, and it's like on the penalty spot practically, and the guy just sweeps it in to the bottom corner. And I can't remember because the coverage, it starts freezing, the coverage, the broadcaster's absolutely terrible. I can only remember what I saw in that moment because it immediately started buffering constantly. But the ball goes in the bottom left-hand corner as you're looking at it. It's just a simple, you hit the byline, you cut it back into the box, and even somebody like Viktoria Plzen with the terrible finishing they've been demonstrating so far, can he miss this one? And the coverage is terrible. A whole lot of kind of freeze frames and jumps back in time till half time. We're still 1-0 down, and it's clear we could easily be going out against a team probably as bad as Panathinaikos, certainly in terms of the finishing. I think worse overall, and despite a 3-goal first leg lead, and it's worrying for Russell Martin. There's all this stuff about his embryonic team, the nascent signs of Russell Martin's game plan. I don't think we've seen enough of that so far. The first leg against this team, against Plzen, was the best example yet. That was the most encouraging example of how Russell Martin's team would probably like to play, but this was more like it was that his sacking was feeling kind of nascent and it was feeling kind of embryonic. You know, a lot of talk about that, or people saying Martin's got to go, Martin's got to go, and I've been defending him not to the hilt so much, but just saying let's know what it's still. I mean, obviously it's still far too early for anything like that. I still, would tend to think on balance he's going to end up being. It could be a great Rangers manager. It could be the best thing that's ever happened to us. I definitely think what we're doing, what we need to do to the club requires a moment like this. A kind of archaeological dig almost into the foundations of what's going wrong with us when it comes to these kind of games against your Motherwells, against your Dundees. But tonight we were so bad. You're thinking, yeah, if this goes wrong, I can see how the pressure is going to become maybe unbearable. Half time coverage completely breaks down. They take a chance to reboot. Technical problems in Czechia, say Solid Sport. They take a wee chance to reboot. I take the chance to fire half a pun of my second serving of tuna pasta into my gullet, get that second cup of tea. It's a bit lukewarm by now, but I'm still in the kitchen. I'm trying to think, I can just move through the living room with my wife because she doesn't feel the heat the same way I feel. I'm kind of fat in that anyway. So, but no, I missed the first 4 minutes of the second half. I get about 23 seconds of the 50th minute. And the screen freezes again, and I'm still trying to watch it on the phone. It's just not happening. But when it resumes, the coverage, Dessers is getting kind of hit in the face, and there's a flailing arm from the guy who's been marking. They've obviously been winding each other up. Dessers is good at that. He's good at winding up the guy who's marking him. So it doesn't look like it's made much of a connection. In the moment that I saw it, it looked like Cyril might have been trying to dive, but in trying to dive from having a slight connection to the face, he's twisted his own knee or twisted his ankle or something. Looks like he's in trouble, but the picture's frozen. There's an image of Danilo. It looks like he's on the sidelines. It looks like he's doing that thing of pulling. It looks like he's doing that thing of pulling his jersey down because he's just put it on. But I don't know. Danilo could have come on at half time because I don't know. I've been eating stuff and I've been trying to buffer the screen. I don't want to look away because every time I look away, I looked away. I went to get my second helping of pasta when they scored their goal. So it's starting to feel as if it's kind of unlucky. But it's the 57th minute before we're back online. The constant buffering of the TV screen, but we're still only 1-0 down, and Danilo is definitely on the park. And then it gets to the 60th minute, and the screen's working. It's working. The picture's working. The buffering stopped for a few seconds. There's a free kick to us around about the halfway line. I don't know if it's John Suter that hits this long ball, kind of out wide, which Diamandi chases down to the byline and he pulls it back. It's very similar to the build up to Plzen's goal. The one goal they've scored so far. He pulls it back to Danilo, who's Johnny on the spot, and he sweeps. I think it's with his right foot. Danilo sweeps it, and it's heading for the bottom left-hand corner, the same corner of the net that the ball went into in the first half of the goal we conceded. And the screen freezes. The screen freezes. The picture, the coverage of the game freezes, and it's just doing that thing. It's wobbling. It's just like my nerves. It's totally wobbling, and the ball is heading off Danilo's foot into the bottom corner, towards the bottom corner, and you're thinking the goalkeeper can get to that, but I don't know how. And it's wobbling back towards his foot again. I'm thinking, what the? This is a living nightmare. It's like something out of a film. It's something. It's like Rabsi Nesbitt. I know Rabsi Nesbitt's a lot better looking than me, a lot thinner than me, and a lot more hair, and certainly get better pattern. But it's that kind of level. Maybe Victor Meldrew. You're literally sitting going, I was saying I don't believe this. We have a few other words dotted in between times, but it kind of sums up Rangers' life for the last decade, I think, this moment. And it went green. Viktoria Plzen play in red and blue, and we're all white with red and blue panelling on the breast of our shirts, and a kind of blue stadium, blue sky. And you get the green pitch and all that, but there's this strange green come onto the screen. It's just like a final kind of insult. It's like, it might go in, it might no. It might go in, it might no. It's gone to the net. Oh, it's going back to Danilo's foot. It's going into the net. It's going back to Danilo's foot. And it feels like that's Rangers' life over the last kind of decade anyway, especially since we get back into the top flight in 2016. You can see the ball is going towards the bottom corner, then it's going back the way. And then suddenly the camera's on Lyle Cameron's face. Why are we looking at Lyle Cameron? I want to know what happened with Danilo's shot on goal. And he's smiling, Lyle Cameron, and they're talking about a goal. And I thought, we've scored. We've actually scored. Whatever's going to stop Rangers buffering the way we have been generally for the last 10 years domestically, it's never who you think that does it. It never works out the way you think it will, but it works out. And Finlay Curtis versus Panathinaikos, Lyle Cameron. From Dundee FC, managed by the guy who gave away the goal to Rudy Voller that put us 2-0 down in the very first Champions League group match night, the very first match day one of the Champions League in 92-93, and one of those games was played at Ibrox, and we went 2-0 down to Olympic Marseille because of a Stephen Presley mistake. And Lyle Cameron, who came from Dundee, now managed by Stephen Presley, he has scored versus Plzen after Finlay Curtis scored against Panathinaikos, first goal against them at Ibrox, and Lyle Cameron scored the first goal against Plzen in the next round in the second leg in Plzen, and that's us. The Scottish connection is work. It's never who you think it's, and it could be Russell Martin that's going to be the guy who gets Rangers going. We restart the game, and that's it. The picture only plays long enough. The buffering only stops long enough to let me see Lyle Cameron celebrating. It comes up. It's one each on the screen, and then we retake centre. Plzen kick off again. So I know that VAR hasn't chopped it off. But it seems like Danilo's had the shot. That's maybe, I don't know. I saw one brief replay. It looked like it might actually been aiming for Lyle Cameron. But it's a ghost of a run. It's a beautifully ghosted run from Lyle Cameron to come in and just make sure that thing was going to go in the net. He diverts it off its path and past the goalkeeper. It's a fantastic finish, a fantastic goal, and it's so vital. And you think we're probably going to be okay from here on in. That'll give us the boost. That's an hour into the game, only half an hour to go, and it's back to a 3-goal advantage to Rangers. The screen freezes for another 6 minutes. I've written down how many times the screen froze. It's part of my complaint. I'm going to be sending them a 2,000-word complaint. There's no unfreezes for about another 5 seconds, and then that's it again to the 71st minute. So basically, I miss out 11 minutes of the coverage. But this time I've got my laptop. I've got the Steampunk laptop, and I try signing in on that straight away. Normally it's like, oh no, it's a different, it come from a different machine. Have you registered this machine, this device with it? No, straight away. My old 28-year-old laptop there that was, I got it from the Large Hadron Collider. It worked straight away, and it was working. Was it my problem? Was it the phone? Was my phone no good enough? But no, I've heard other people saying the coverage was terrible. But Raskin, Rothwell seemed to be on the park by this point as well, and number 6 had come on. We'd scored. The screen froze for 6 minutes. We'd scored the goal in the 60th minute, and it was all very Book of Revelations. This is knowledge. This is wisdom. Let him that hath knowledge count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. That number is 603 score, and 6. I'm into Revelation. That's Revelations at 13, 18, chapter 13, verse 18. It's you're really religious. That's what I thought about Rangers supporters. They're all Bible thumping nutcases. These all evangelical types. No, it's Damien the Omen. That's that bit. His mother was a jackal. It's Damien the Omen. That's the bit. I don't care how we do it though. I was feeling a bit like Mephistopheles, like I am in hell and I cannot get out of it with the tension in this game, and I was never as scared watching Damien the Omen as I was watching this tonight. And the coverage starts up again. It comes back in the 72nd minute, and they have a header past Butland's post. 72nd minute 72, 1972 in Barcelona, 1972, and we're playing against a team in a kind of Grana Blaugrana kit. Plzen have a header past Butland's near post. The screen freezes. The Steampunk laptop is working far better, and the 79th minute, Hefty is letting his man go at the back post. I warned you, but he's letting his man go at the back post. This is where Russell Martin doesn't rate him, and the guy heads down onto the ground, bounces it up point blank range, and Jack Butland, catches it in the way back up and punches it up over the bar. It's a fantastic save. I'm hearing Butland made a world-class save as well. Mates are telling me it's absolutely... I don't know if it's that one they're talking about, or maybe they've done one that's even better. But Jack Butland, all their European games, maybe not as needed in the first leg against Plzen last Tuesday, but he was definitely needed tonight, and he's the big man is turning it around, making me eat my words about him. But after that, I just saw a whole series of balls going into our box, which only Jack Butland is dealing with in anything approaching a convincing manner. There's only so much he can do. There's only so much the man could do himself, and it's not that I'm waiting. It's not that I'm waiting for the Rangers to collapse, have a complete collapse, and concede 3 late goals. This is it. This is the collapse. This is what it will look like. We cannot win the ball. Dundee on Saturday, the goal they scored is absolutely scandalous. They had a chance to go 2-0 up, as we know, Dundee, or regain the lead. Was it an injury time with a corner to the near post? I keep hearing that John Souttar is a great Sage defender, and I think at times he has been. He definitely has been. Maybe Motherwell at Fir Park, I felt as if he was getting owned by the big Australian fella with the Greek name at Fir Park, but of course he didn't score in Jack Butland, so it's kind of desperate looking defending. Maybe that's the Sage defending. I've watched Richard Gough and all that defending, Davy Weir defending in Parkhead and what have you up against it, but I don't know whether it's what he's been asked to do. John Souttar and Giga as well has been great in a few games for us this season. I thought he was a kind of signing of the close season in the few games I saw him at first, but we just can't. I mean, every time they put the ball into our box, it looks like it's going to be a goal. It looks like we're going to concede. We're winning 0 in the air, and in the 83rd minute, it's the Victoria Plzen kind of centre half. He's surrounded by Rangers defenders, by white-shirted Rangers defenders in that box, around about the 6-yard box, and he still seems to have acres of space and time as well. It's a simple ball from wide played into him, and he just nods it into the post, and you think this is it. We're 2-1 down now on the night, and they must realise now. They must realise what I think their manager has probably been telling them. Their defence is garbage. Get that ball swung into their box, and they're thinking he's getting a bit senile. Their manager's in his 70s. He's getting a bit senile. He's probably thinking about somebody else. He's probably thinking about a first leg we played 20 years ago. No, this is. Well, I know they didn't play. It's like 20 years since they were back in Europe. And before that, the only other European tie they had before 2015, I think, was 1972. So I've got that wrong. But you know what I mean. They might think he's senile, but they themselves must have been thinking, is this the same team we played last Tuesday night? I think they've realised too late, Victoria Plzen, if they just keep the heat to be able to put away about 3-4 of these chances. And I thought this is it. That's the first. They've got the goal that's put them back in the lead. They just need another couple to take it the extra time, but it wouldn't surprise me if they managed to get 3 before the final whistle, before the end of the 90. But there was nothing. That was it. Did nothing. We just, from then on, we kind of cruised, really. Totally shut the game down. Victoria Plzen totally stopped, and it was the weirdest thing. It was weirder than the screen kept stopping, kept buffering, and you end up seeing footage of something that happened 10 minutes ago before you see what's happened at the time the game is actually at. The defending like this means kind of the defending like this means defending like that. I mean, it just kept buffering. You know, it kept buffering. But defending like that meant like 2 more in injury time was very much on. The possibility of us conceding 2 more in injury time was very much on. That goal we conceded in the 83rd minute to put Plzen ahead. But it just, at the moment, I'm most terrified. Rangers just suddenly saw out. It was suddenly massive calm after the storm. I don't know what happened to Plzen. We broke about twice, around about the 86th minute. Awful kind of Ant-Man ball to no one, and a turgid Gassama shot past the post. Saw the 2 of them being subbed for Bajrami and Cortez, and that was it. We really... Tav, in the 90th minute, Tav took a shot that went straight to their goalie, and I think they punted it up the park, and there was a kind of uncomfortable bounce of the ball and a challenge on... I don't know if it was Giga or Souttar, I can't really remember, but it ends up back at Jack Butland, and I think that was it. In the 7 minutes of injury time, I think, oh my God, 7 minutes of injury time, that gives him plenty of time to score 2 goals. But we were passing it about, knocking it about. Bajrami and Jefty, of all people, are suddenly kind of playing like, Brazil 82. In tribute to Jefty, they're knocking a ball about in the corner, far more like Italy 82 in terms of the kind of cynicism and the game management, just knocking the ball about, keeping possession in, run about their box, run about Plzen's box, and Rothwell's playing alongside Rothwell's playing along in a line basically with Raskin. Raskin's still playing at 6 when Rothwell comes on the park. I don't know who. This was when the screen was frozen. I suddenly realised that Kieran Dowell had come on too, but I think he'd come on a minute after Rothwell come on. He came on for Lyle Cameron, I think. Rothwell come on for Diamandi much earlier in the half, and a minute later on comes Kieran Dowell. And if we go through here to the Champions League group stage, I hope all the players have got a massive bonus due to them. Even if we get for getting through to the playoff round, I hope they've got a bonus due to him, because Kieran Dowell has earned it. Even if it's a payoff for Kieran Dowell and we sell him before the end of August, or if he never plays for the first team again, the abuse that boy's taken when he was injured for most of his Rangers career, and then we sent him down to Birmingham for 6 months, and he gets asked to play out of position, and he has been key to what we've done in these 4 games to get us to the playoff round. It's phenomenal, a phenomenal achievement, and his treatment on Saturday was absolutely disgusting. And we improved when he came on the park as well, Kieran Dowell. But we were great in injury time. We just saw it out. We went 2-1 down. Really, the only complaint after we went 2-1 down is we couldn't find Danilo a couple of times, or perhaps he was kind of unfindable. Balls going in from kind of wide, trying to play him in. I don't know if Danilo was not anticipating him correctly, if he's got a slight lack of pace, or if it was just bad balls being played to him. But in some late breakaways where Raskin and Rothwell were providing a nice base, and Bajrami was combining well with Hefty to hold it up around their box. We just couldn't quite get it. We actually looked like we were going to end up scoring another goal and equalise on the night, but we haven't won an away game this season. We've only had 3, but we've stopped drawing. We've stopped drawing the away games 1 each. That's now become our home result is 1 each after Saturday. But now we are losing away games 2-1, winning as we learn. Well, I hope that's what this is. We didn't win the game tonight. Actually, we lost the game tonight, and we seem to be. Hopefully we're learning. This is good. The manager's using this. I don't think he was too pleased. I've just seen a wee headline flashing across my phone that he didn't think we were at it at all, and he's not wrong. The final boot to the boys the night was the Solid Sport commentator telling me that RB Salzburg were winning on aggregate. They were winning their tie on aggregate. They'd kicked off just a wee bit later, obviously. I think about a quarter of an hour, half an hour later, in Brussels, and I thought, here we go, I don't have to see Bruges again. I don't have to see them again. 6 weeks after seeing them for the first time, I'm going to get the 1994 UEFA Cup runners-up instead, going to get them off the list. I haven't seen. I mean, technically, they're the 1994 UEFA Cup runners-up, Casino Austria Salzburg, as they were then. Their licence was bought by RB Salzburg, but no, morally they aren't. But by the time I brought up the results on my steampunk laptop, it was 2 each on aggregate. Bruges had pulled it back, then they knocked another one in before the end. 2 each in aggregate, and 2 each is what we drew 2 each with them in that friendly 6 weeks ago. But suddenly we've got 3 straight wins against Czech sides in Europe, 2 against Sparta, and tonight's game against VIKTORIA Plzen, all after that defeat, the disgusting Bampots that are Slavia Prague, and that was only 2021, so it's 4 or 5 years. We've suddenly managed to turn around. We're pretty shoddy record against Czech sides. It's good for us. But the Plzen Ultras, they seemed very happy with the win on the night. They're a massive humba behind the goal. I don't know what's happened with the boy that was a lot. They're going bare chested. They're getting the tops off the Victoria Plzen Ultras, but one guy just seemed to have greased himself up. I don't know if he's getting the wax on there or whatever, the body wax. It's up to them, I suppose. But they all seemed quite delighted at the very time I was expecting them to be heading round to the away end, try to start something with the victorious Bears. But no, maybe at standards, but they were demanding the manager come out and take a bow with his players. This, of course, was the only time the screen didn't buffer. Was it full time? They're happy with the Europa League group stage, and we might yet have to be happy with it too. The big question now is, will we postpone the St Mirren game? He said, didn't he? Russell Martin said in the pre-match presser in Plzen, he said that that wasn't something we're planning to do. I'm still not 100% sure if he's saying that because it would look, that in terms of how we look, the ability to make a fool of us or make a fool of ourselves. Maybe it's superstition. You don't want to talk as if you're already through to the next round when you've still got a second leg to play, because we need to get through to the playoff round. Because we're going to drop straight. If we'd lost tonight, if we'd lost by 3 goals or gone out in penalties, whatever tonight, if we'd gone out of this round, we wouldn't have been playing in the Europa League group stage. We would have gone, playoff. We'd have gone straight into the Europa League group stage. So maybe he wasn't wanting to tempt fate, but he was saying they'd no intention. As far as he knew, they almost certainly were going to play against St Mirren at Paisley a week on Saturday, a week on Sunday. But right now, I have to say, I would want to postpone the entire season until Martin gets in one of his own at left back, at centre half, maybe striker, another midfielder, just so we know. But this is not the how. Just so we know what it is exactly he wants to do, because we look like we're halfway between what we were and what we are, and that is resulting in us just being awful in defence and pretty limited in our ability to create clear-cut chances on goal. But that's not how you learn. You don't learn how to gel as a team. You don't learn about each other as teammates. You don't learn about the system the manager wants to put in place by, cancelling games. But having invoked the Dark Lord in Revelations 13:18 to get us through to this round, we all now deserve sleep of the righteous. We deserve the sleep of the righteous tonight. That was a really testing match to watch. But there's still so much to worry about. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to sleep properly, but we wanted to strip away the deadwood. This is the thing with Russell Martin's reign. What we don't know yet is it's as I was saying in the preview pod last night, it's the big tension was always going to be Russell Martin's game plan needs time to kick in. Now, we knew that from his time at Swansea, we knew that from his time at Southampton, but he got great success with them in English championship terms. And if he's specialising in the domestic championship level, you think that should be suited to Scotland. But everybody from Southampton and Swansea would tell you it'd be terrible to watch it first, but it'll be really worth it. And it's terrible to watch it first. So that's part A of the plan in full effect. It's all working bang on schedule so far. But the tension was always going to be, how long is he going to get at Rangers to let that to let the plan kick in, for us to be really ropey at the back and a bit like watching paint dry. We've been told that's what it's like in its early stages. I can see it, that why we're passing the ball about at the back is because you want to get used to having the ball, so eventually you can be passing the ball about in midfield and then passing the ball about outside your opposition's box, then passing it about the 6-yard box and into their net. It seems to be, I can understand that. I understand that's the way things are going to work. But the problem is at Rangers, you get no time. You get no time. From a lot of our supporters, you will get zero time, and he's already got. They wanted him sacked before. I think I saw somebody say, "I'll not be back." This was in June when it was announced he was going to be getting the job. Russell Martin, I'll not be back until he's gone. So that's the kind of stuff you're up against. Unless you're going to provide scintillating football from the word go and like 3-goal wins in every game, you're going to be somebody who doesn't like you. But I think it's also come up against an expectation. I hear people talking about it in terms of, that's us already dropped 4 points. If Celtic beat us at Ibrox, that's us going to be so far off the pace. It's just, you can just kiss goodbye to the league by the end of September. And I'm thinking, I'd kind of kiss goodbye to the league, the minute Russell Martin took over, and the minute it was obvious that we're trying to completely revolutionise the way that we play football. It's that kind of deep dive. I know Motherwell and Dundee have changed their squad. They're trying to just go up one place in the league. So are we. But the one place higher we're trying to get in the league is the ultimate one place higher. It was a 17-point gap between us in second and Celtic in first last season. But we're also trying to do it while playing in the biggest competition in world football, in world club football, despite the Club World Championship being a massive hit during the summer there. It's the Champions League, and this is what we want to be doing all the time. That requires a root and branch change, as they say. It's archaeological dig level of stuff. So I'm quite prepared to give it a bit of patience, but I will not. I'll take the chance of it's been overall a good result to say just how little I'm enjoying most of the football Rangers are serving up, how worrying I find it watching the games. I'm not terribly worried long term. I find it quite interesting actually, because we've got the owners, they've got the money. We're in a kind of safe place just now. If Russell Martin, if it gets much worse, it doesn't look like it's going to go forward in any way, then he will get sacked and we will have somebody lined up to replace him. But advancing in Europe is the best tool. I wasn't expecting to win the league this season, as I say, so I don't know. But I'm not going to. I'll use this game tonight just to express the fact that, in case anybody thinks I'm just kidding myself on, I know exactly how bad the football is. It was awful tonight. But advancing in Europe is the best tool, I think, by which we can excavate down to the root of the problem. Russell Martin still has some kind of convincing to do that he is the Professor Alice Roberts we need at Ibrox. But it's archaeology. It requires kind of patience and care. This dead wood it's not. We've realised now that it's not individual players. And Tav's the only guy that's been there for 10 years. Why he gets so much abuse, and yet he consistently performs. He's our only scorer so far in domestic games. But we felt the same way about Connor Goldson and John Lundstrom and Ryan Kent, Borna Barisic. You just got to get rid of this deadwood. These players are holding us back. The guys that were sensational when we won the league, the one time we have won it since we come back into the top flight under Steven Gerrard, but they're all away now. They're all away. And if Tav is such a negative influence, but my God, he's an unbelievably negative influence. If he's bringing the whole club down on his own, it's not. We still keep advancing in Europe. It's a magnificent result, and I'm the person that's over the two legs. I'm the person that's saying on Friday night we've got to stop getting confused by the trees and keep seeing the woods. He's got us through. He's getting us to the cusp of the Champions League group stage. That would be an immense. That would be up there with Gerrard, getting us through 4 rounds of qualifiers to get us back into a European group stage. It was the Europa League in his first season. It'd be a phenomenal achievement, and Gerrard was doing that while drawing at Aberdeen, drawing at Motherwell, drawing at losing at Livingston. So I think we need to kind of screw the knot a bit, but I'm not going to deny tonight that was absolutely awful. I think we're going to have to dig down and change what it is that sees us slipping up in these games so often against your Dundees, against your Motherwells. I'm kind of scared that we dig down so far that we end up ruining our European form, because as I was talking about in great detail in the preview pod last night, we only lost one match we only failed to win 2 matches domestically after any of the 14 European ties that we played last season. We played 14 matches in Europe last season, and we won after 10 of them. We won the next game, usually the next weekend's game domestically, we won 10 of them. 2 of them there was no game the following weekend, and we drew up at Aberdeen at Pittodrie with a last minute equaliser when we had our reserves out. Conor Barham was captain on the day because we were preparing to go and play Athletic Club in Bilbao in the second leg of a European quarter-final, and the one that we lost was on penalties to Celtic in the League Cup final, when we should have been given a penalty in the in extra time. I mean, that was 3 days after drawing 1 each with Spurs at Ibrox. So what's kind of bothering me now is that we are having, that's 2 in a row. We've had terrible results domestically against Motherwell and then Dundee after solid away results. Getting away results that helped us progress in Europe the previous midweek. I don't want to lose our European form, but so many people, so many Rangers fans see the European form, seeing us doing well in Europe as a problem, as creating the problems that see us unable to beat the fodder. No insult meant, no insult meant, but that's how the way they see it in the SPFL Premiership. So, and if we want to confront this kind of legacy problem head on, it needs patience, it needs care. We're going to have to dig deep, and we look like we're exposed groundwork at this moment. We look like a car that's been stripped down to the bare essentials. It's no fit to hit the road yet, but at that point we've stripped it all down. If we want to confront our kind of legacy problems head on, then no, this is it. This is it. The last time we played Belgians in Europe, we're going to play Club Brugge now next week in the playoff round, and the last time we played Belgians in Europe was last season, and again, that was to advance to the next round of a competition, and we did. We beat Union St Gilles 2-1. That gave us a free midweek, the first free midweek we'd had since the beginning of the season. And Philip Clement was delighted, our Belgian manager, who, former manager of Club Brugge, former player of Club Brugge, he was absolutely delighted. And after that first free midweek, our next game was against a lower league side in the domestic cups. And we lost. And now we're going to have it the other way around. We're going to have Alloa, a lower league side, in one of the domestic cups before we play a Belgian side looking to advance to the next stage in Europe. That for the first time we've got a lower league side coming to Ibrox in one of the domestic cups, and the last one was in February, and it was Queen's Park. Has anybody got like a spare goat, and maybe just a wee cup that we could put the blood. I mean, hey, half of yous are masons. Come on, these guys are all, on the level and all that kind of stuff. Somebody's got to have a wee, just a wee goat, a wee billy goat or something. I don't know. I'll make it quick. We can just offer it up. 666. I'll take £6 off that 12 quid. But Rangers are now kind of medium quids in, I would say. Get a tie in top of our kind of guaranteed Europa League. We've got a big money tie. It could be 50 pences in. We're no quids in, we're 50 pences in. We're kind of halfway to the hallowed land, the big money land of the Champions League groups. We're 2/3 of the way there, if you like, having got through 2 rounds out of 3 that we'd have to negotiate. But we've still got the Europa League group stage. That's for a minimum, and that's great. That was guaranteed with the result against Panathinaikos. And that remains guaranteed. But now we've also guaranteed ourselves another big tie. Plenty of money to be made, I would imagine, and decent TV coverage, please, for the away leg. No more Solid Sport, pishy stream. So there's money to be made there. We can buy some more players before September. We can pick or choose whether we play one of our own kind of sticky, difficult domestic games, domestic venues in Paisley, one of our most kind of sticky, difficult domestic venues in Paisley. We can pick or choose whether we want to play that, and we could have a serious go at reaching the hallowed land of the Champions League. It's difficult to know how we can be heading in the right direction off the field while looking like we're going backwards on it. But when the rebuild is so massive, when you're changing an entire style of play, the workload for players and fans, it probably should be evil.